Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Today I'm pleased to be joined by Joe Panetta, who is the president and CEO of Biocom. Also, Dr. Henry G., who is chairman and CEO of Sorrento Therapeutics, as well as joining us electronically is Dr. Kate Broderick, who is senior vice president of research and development of Inovio Pharmaceuticals. Today I'm going to provide a couple of updates. First and foremost, approval from the state for dine-in for restaurants and in-store retail that can open as soon as today. Second, as I alluded to earlier, I wanted to give an update on just the phenomenal, great work that is happening in this space in San Diego and what leaders some of these companies are for not just for us here in San Diego and the state, but really the nation and the world. Lastly, of course, I will highlight the great work that San Diegans are doing, continue to do every day to step up and help their fellow San Diegans. But topic number one, of course, is approval that we received in San Diego County for dine-in and in-store retail to open up as early as today. Last night was a major victory for our small businesses to help on that road to recovery. Effective immediately, restaurant dining and in-store retail are safely allowed to return to San Diego. In order to reopen, of course, though, dine-in restaurants and in-store retail will need to review the guidance from the County of San Diego. They'll need to complete the San Diego Restaurant Operating Protocol and post it for the public and employees to see. Several additional requirements, including temperature and symptom screening for employees daily. Of course, anybody with symptoms, employees must stay at home. All tables for dine-in restaurants must be 6 feet apart, encouraging reservations. You've heard that, I think, a lot today from our restaurant folks. Working on expanded outdoor seating. And, of course, employees and customers must wear face coverings. As I mentioned earlier, this is a major victory that we've been working on, all of us, because San Diegans have been doing such a good job in terms of taking this seriously, following all of the protocols. And it gives our small business owners exactly what we were hoping for, which is that light at the end of the tunnel, an opportunity to begin this economic recovery. San Diegans have been ready for this. The work that the Economic Recovery Advisory Group has done, putting together those safe and responsible plans. There's been a lot of work that's been put together, particularly in the last month, with one goal: how are you going to protect, obviously, employees and customers as well, and to do it responsibly. And now our restaurants and retail shops can move forward with their safe and responsible plans to open. This is not about returning to normal. This is about getting accustomed to a new normal. And people often talk about, the struggle of being real because it has been real. And no one understands this more than families around San Diego living paycheck to paycheck. So it is time that we get moving. And it's time that we give them the opportunity, these hardworking San Diego families, to earn that paycheck once again. And allow our workers to provide not only for themselves, but of course, for their families. We are prepared. Our region is prepared. Our businesses are ready to recover. San Diegans want to and are ready to get back to work. As you know, our county and our region has also asked the governor to allow San Diego to be the first to the next phase, phase 3 with a pilot. So we can take the next step with barbershops, salons, gyms, and places of worship. I strongly believe that San Diego should be given that opportunity to proceed. And I look forward to hearing from the state in the coming days. Topic number 2, going to be most of our time today. It's an update on the great work that is happening in San Diego's life science industry. I'm so proud of it. We've had a few updates in the past where we've highlighted some of these great companies, and I wanted to revisit that today because you've seen a lot of it, national news coverage for all of the right reasons. We're going to highlight some of these great companies today. But the importance of science and research has never been, I think, more evident because of what we're doing and having to battle COVID-19. You've seen a lot and learned a lot in the news about testing, vaccines, and therapeutics, and how they represent really our best opportunity to defeat this virus for good. And all of that work, a lot of it is happening right here in San Diego, in our labs across the whole region. And work that is being conducted by our fellow San Diegans at some of the most innovative companies on the planet. Again, we're so proud to have them in San Diego. And these men and women, and a lot of their white coats run around, as Dr. G knows, they're working around the clock. And they're working around the clock to save lives. So today I decided to give some of them the floor so they can share with you at home and just to give you a little bit more about the phenomenal work and I think probably most important, what's coming next. A week ago, I was able to tour Sorrento Therapeutics and talk to the scientists and hear about the cutting edge work that they're doing. They are tackling this aggressive virus at all angles, developing, as I said, both vaccine candidates as well as therapeutics. And I'm going to have Dr. Henry G. speak to their work in just a second. You're also going to hear from Dr. Broderick with Inovio Pharmaceuticals. And the last time she joined us, if you remember, probably about a month ago, her team was headed into clinical trials. Now, a few weeks later, she's here to share some of the progress that they're making in developing a vaccine. But first, it's my pleasure to introduce Joe Panetta, who is the CEO of Biocom, to speak about some of these innovative companies that are happening in San Diego's life science industry. Joe, thank you again for your leadership and representing the ecosystem of these companies that are literally changing the face of the globe. Come on up for a few seconds, Joe.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. And I want to thank you for having us all back down here again. We appreciate all of the time that you've given us to talk to the people of San Diego about the great progress that we're making in this industry. But most of all, we appreciate your leadership. Thank you so much for all that you've done for us. I want to share also how pleased I was to participate in your Recover Task Force to reopen San Diego. What a great example of the kind of collaboration and cooperation in action here in San Diego during this pandemic. So at Biocom, we followed the mayor's lead. In order to prepare for more of our employees to go back to work, we've created a 45-member return to work task force. They've been conducting daily meetings with industry, government, academia, and with the service provider community so that they can develop guidance to secure the resources and to make the transition that we need to get more of our employees back into our facilities. That's how we empower our life science industry to do what it does best, to develop innovative solutions to improve the quality of life for people all over the world. So today, we'll hear from some Biocom members, as the mayor mentioned, who have been actively pursuing treatments and vaccines for COVID-19 as a part of the essential workforce, which has been in our labs since the onset of this pandemic. In the life science industry, San Diego continues to be in the forefront of efforts to combat this novel coronavirus across the state and across the U.S. And I've got some important updates to share with you as well on some of the other activities that are taking place here. I'd like to mention several examples of some of the San Diego companies and the research institutions that are working on the many issues that have been brought forward as a result of COVID-19. First of all, in our research institutions, there's great work going on at the Sanford Burnham Prebys Institute, which received a $10 million grant to test broad-spectrum antivirals. We've got another world-renowned institution, the Scripps Research Institution on Torrey Pines Mesa. They possess the most comprehensive drug repurposing collection. Now, what that means is that they're making progress identifying existing drugs to potentially prevent and treat COVID-19. And their immunologists are making great strides in finding antibodies to treat the virus. Now, testing is a very important thing for all of us going forward. To stop the spread of the virus, Thermo Fisher Scientific and WuXi, both here in San Diego, have teamed with the Mayo Clinic to develop an open platform COVID-19 antibody test. Another San Diego-based company, Quidel, recently received approval of a new antigen test to rapidly screen for the coronavirus. And finally, Helix, another San Diego company, is working on launching COVID-19 testing using next-generation sequencing that's going to be able to scale massively to enable the broad community to go back to work and to test across the broad community. Now, life sciences includes not only those researching the origins of the virus and those working around the clock to produce tests, but I'd be remiss not to mention those companies in the medical device community that are also supporting the patients in the hospitals, companies such as BD, which are developing the infusion pumps and the medication management systems for hospitalized patients. I know I speak on behalf of all of California's life science community members, especially the 65,000 employees in life science here in San Diego and across the county, when I say that we appreciate the leadership of our elected officials, most notably this mayor, who have enabled us to forge onward throughout this pandemic. Ultimately, this work is what's going to get us all past the situation we're in to a much safer and more secure world ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for you and everybody and all the great companies that are really helping to set this this landscape that we are so proud of in San Diego. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Henry G. to say a few words about the great work that his team is doing at Sorrento Therapeutics. Dr. G, pleasure to have you back. It was great to be out there in person. Very impressive. And please come up and share with San Diego some of the great work that you're doing. I'll come up this way.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm humbled to attending this conference. And it's kind of like very humbled because we did not realize we have a very, a strong attention to us right now. But our people has been, scientists has been in the lab quietly for the last 10 years or so, working on some of the greatest, discovery in the antibody space, which into the cGMP manufacturing for antibody and for cell therapy, especially in the oncology space. We have one FDA-approved drugs selling, and we have multiple products right now in the late stage, clinical stage clinical trials. But the COVID-19 hits us this year. Our scientists immediately jump onto the task to discover the antibody from our vast antibody library, which is a fully human antibody library, has over 1 billion antibodies in it. So our people's working day and night and finding out multiple hundreds of hits to the viral protein. And we did the fully expression characterization. And we're working with academic group in the UT medical branch, UTMB, that they have the live virus. And we luckily get out of one antibody, which is very potent, that is prohibits 100% the viral infection to the healthy cells in vitro. And that is very significant. Reason for that is if you can prevent the virus 100% or completely, so that none of the single virus escape the protection from the antibody, so that you don't have the virus replicating in healthy cell, so that we will be able to block the virus from infecting healthy cell and block them replicating. That will preventing the further complication out of the virus. And we're very excited. Our scientists work day and night, characterize the antibody. Right now, we are working very hard to generate the cell lines, which is a manufactured cell line in our cGMP facility, and to make sure we have the cells growing up and produce the antibody in the quantity is needed to get a human clinical trial, meanwhile mass production in places so that we can meet the demand, vast demand. Now, if you look at these therapeutic antibodies or neutralizing antibody, that is the desire for a vaccine. When you do vaccination, you want to generate neutralizing antibody. Now we have 1 out of 1 billion. We lucked it out, have the antibody that will be able to preventing the virus completely. And if that translates well into the human body, that will be able to produce the prevention results we all wanted. If we have the antibody injected into the body, the second you inject it, that will be able to prevent you from a virus infection. So you can feel very comfortable walking around, no social distance, Mr. Mayor, in this case, and we will be able to open up the society and do a lot of work. So the good things is we have about 400 people in the company. We have about a 300,000 square feet facility. If this drugs potentially gets through the safety and efficacy test, we will be able to produce a lot in our CGMP facility. That means there will be more jobs created in this San Diego great areas. And we are so honored as the Mr. Mayor visited us. That's the first time we have Mr. Mayor or somebody is like this level to visit our company. We're very quiet, but right now we're kind of like putting on a spotlight. Hopefully our scientists going to be working day and night, deliver the therapy we needed to resolve the issue and combat with the COVID-19. Thank you very much, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. G. Thank you, Dr. G. The privilege was mine to be out there and to see all of your employees and so promising what you just discussed. And again, this is really the life-changing work that is happening day and night throughout San Diego. Best of continued luck, and to see the determination in the faces of all of the scientists and the researchers that were there working so hard, it was inspiring. I mean that. It was just truly inspiring. And next, speaking of another great company that is also receiving national and worldwide attention, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kate Broderick, who is joining us virtually to give us an update on Inovio's vaccine research. Dr. Broderick, it is great to see you again, and tell us the latest.
Well, firstly, thank you so much, Mayor Faulconer, for the opportunity to speak to you today. It's such a great honor, and we all thank you so much for the inspirational leadership that you've been showing in these incredibly trying times. It's really also fantastic to be able to share the podium today, albeit virtually, with Joe and Dr. G. Being here today is a great showcase of San Diego, not only as the most beautiful city in the world, but also as a leader in innovative science and medical advances. It's hard for me to believe that it was only 2 months ago when I was invited to participate in another press conference with the mayor. So much has changed in those few short days, and certainly feels more like 2 years than 2 months to me. However, as hard 2 months have been for everyone here in San Diego and in California and in the country as a whole, I wanted to take a few minutes to update you all on the exciting and hopeful progress that we've been making on the path towards a vaccine against COVID-19. On the 6th of April, we started our phase 1 human clinical trial for our DNA medicine vaccine, INO 4800, against COVID-19 disease. This trial enrolled 40 healthy volunteers, and where we assessed the safety and the immunogenicity of our vaccine. And for those of you who aren't scientists or researchers or clinicians, immunogenicity is just a big word for meaning the ability of the human body to make the antibodies and the T cells that we will need to protect ourselves from the virus. We are really so happy with the progress of the trial, and we hope to have an early readout of the data in June. This data, combined with other critical experiments that are going on in expert labs all around the globe, will be used as a package to approach the FDA again to hopefully gain their approval to start a large phase 2/3 trial. That trial, which will ask the question, does Inovio's vaccine prevent people from getting COVID-19, will be critical in the path towards a vaccine that can be used to prevent this devastating disease. In addition to this exciting and promising progress for our trial, we also just published our lab-based data in the prestigious journal Nature Communications, which supports the ability of our vaccine to generate those all-important immune responses. So I truly hope that this snapshot into the massive progress that's going on at Inovio here in San Diego gives all of our fellow San Diego residents a sense of confidence and hope in these difficult times. As a scientist, as a citizen, and as a mum, I also believe that the scientific community is well on its way towards multiple effective vaccine solutions to end this terrible pandemic. And here at Inovio, we're just so very proud to be contributing towards this effort. Thank you very much.
Dr. Broderick, great to see you again. Thank you for that phenomenal update, and everyone at Inovio. Again, I think San Diegans that have seen Dr. Broderick and Dr. G have a small snapshot of really the work that is being done, but the promise that we are so very, very proud of. Best of luck to both you, all of you, the other companies that Joe Panetta has talked about. I will continue to give some of these updates because we are leading the globe, and it's obviously something, as I said, we are proud of, but something that is so necessary for our continued success. So thank you. Thank you all. My last topic today, our continued efforts to highlight San Diegans that are stepping up during this time of need. You've just heard from some of our local experts the many ways that they are fighting this virus from a vaccine or a therapeutic standpoint. But now I'd like to talk about the partnership of two San Diego organizations that have come together to help out their neighbors. Genelite is a local laboratory that is here in San Diego that developed blood-based serology tests for COVID-19. This test helps identify antibodies in those that may have been exposed to the virus. It also helps identify those who have antibodies present that can help others that are trying to fight off the virus. They wanted to increase their access to the tests so more people could be tested and, of course, hopefully more lives can be saved. So they partnered with the San Diego Blood Bank to draw blood from those who register. That way they can identify if someone has the right antibodies to fight this virus. This partnership is really helping more and more San Diegans to help recover from this virus. And so if you want to take the test to see if you have the antibodies and also donate blood to save a life, you can register at genelitecovid19.com. I think it was up on the screen there just a second ago. And thank you for Genelite and our local blood bank for sparking this important partnership to get more folks tested. Thank you for helping to step up. And with that, I will open up questions from any members of the media.
And today's first question, I'll read on behalf of Sarah Cohen with ABC 10 News. And the question is for Dr. Kate Broderick. There are reports coming out of China that a new cluster of cases in the northwest region of the country is showing patients are carrying the virus for longer periods of time, suggesting the pathogen may be changing. If that's the case, would the vaccine you are currently working on be effective against any future mutations of the virus?
Dr. Broderick, were you able to hear the question?
I was, yes, thank you. And it's a great question, and it is a question that we in the scientific community, specifically those of us working on vaccines, have to be very, very aware of. Viruses, unfortunately, being viruses, one of the ways that they're so incredibly smart is that they're able to mutate and change, and that's why, of course, we have to get different flu jabs every year. Thankfully, I would say that COVID-19, the virus that causes COVID-19, seems not to be a very high mutator, so that's really good news. And so far, the mutations that we have seen with this virus aren't in the region that would be affected by our vaccine. So our vaccine covers a region that doesn't seem to be affected by any of those mutations. So we're absolutely keeping an eye on it. We're very, very conscious of keeping an eye on those mutations, but so far they will not affect the vaccine that we've developed.
Thank you, Dr. Broderick. I believe that was our only question for today. Again, to Dr. Broderick, Dr. G, Joe Panetta, and everybody at Biocom, thank you for the phenomenal, important work you're doing. Thank you, San Diego, for the important work that you are doing. Again, with the great news last night, our ability to safely return to dine-in restaurants and in-store retail. Let's keep it up. Let's keep doing a great job, show the rest of the state how we do it right here in San Diego. Thank you for everything that you or everybody, all of us, are continuing to do. We're going to get through this by working together. With that, that concludes today's briefing, and I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. Thank you.